Hi, I'm Seema, and today I'm here to rain something again into society's brains or heads or understanding. And what I'm here to talk about is nothing other than the male and female species as far as when it comes to things of understanding each other and working with each other and maybe even complementing one another. And I always tell people that the best thing that ever happened to man and woman was man and woman. Meaning that the best thing that ever happened to a man was a woman. And the best thing that ever happened to a woman was a man. Now, I know very many gay people are going to be out there and say, no, a man can be understood by a fellow man. Yes, they can be understood by a fellow man, but up to a certain level. Same applies to the female species. But the biggest problem that we always have, and where our biggest misunderstandings come from, to the extent that we even start calling each other things like horrible, diabolical, all men are dogs, all men are terrible. And sometimes you even hear some ladies, I'm not blaming anyone, but you hear some ladies getting up and saying certain things that are not really accurate. And they're not saying those things because they hate the man, but because there's a difference between aiming into the target and bracket. And they're always aiming into the bracket. Now, you aiming into the bracket does not make you kill a bull. And there's a reason why the Americans, or whichever people that came up with the English language, came up with an analogy of the bull's eye. You can shoot a bull everywhere and maybe it will stay kick a couple of times. But when you aim into the bull's eye, it's just going to go out. You will have taken it out by stroke of pulling the trigger. And this is what happens. I'm actually responding to a couple of sisters and maybe creators on social media, especially one very intelligent lady. I respect her way of understanding, but some things you really see they come from a place of not understanding very well the male species. Now, there's a point where she said that men don't marry because they're in love. Men marry only because they are ready. Well, that is a very, very wrong perception of understanding the male species. We do marry for love. But the biggest problem that we have today is society. Society does not permit the man today to take a trip into his psychological state of mind and understand what is he marrying for. Society is telling him that if you have a job, if you have a car, if you have a house, then you have the right to marry. But that's not what it takes to marry. What it takes to marry is falling in love. And where I came to understand that this lady actually didn't understand, and what she was talking about was very, very close target, but in the bracket, is when she says, and that's the reason why you find that most of those relationships end up producing many single mothers. Because you married because you thought you were ready and didn't marry for love, you're going to sit in that house that you thought made you an eligible man to marry. Look at that car, look at your bank account, look at your job status, look at so many things, and after that now you're going to say, I have all these things, but I don't love this person. I was just ready to have them, but I don't love them. And before you get to realize, the woman is going to end up being a victim of circumstance. And the child as well. So, yes, I agree. That is the biggest reason why men today marry. But that is not the fundamental reason in a male brain. Males might be gaslit into thinking that that is why they marry, but that is not the reason why they marry. We marry because we love. Now, someone out there is going to say, then why don't you marry for love? And that's why I told you that society has come up so hard and compromised with our reasoning, our pragmacy, our objectivity. So I'm going to ask all men to go back to those things. Fuck your tradition. Don't excuse my English. Because when you fall into depression and all these kind of things and you end up being called names like Shaka Mayanja called some men City Malaya, you are the one whose reputation is on the line. But what pushes you there? Society, tradition, culture, religion, and all these things. Because your family is saying, Tuzalide yakana, can we have a child? Give us a child. African society, parents, just let these people be grown-ups. Why do you always have to shovel them like you're shoveling soil or sand or snow out? Move it, move it. These people are grown-ups. Let them live their lives. So, show those social forces the middle finger, and you shall be very happy, people, and we shall reduce on the number of women that end up into single parenthood. So, my sister, that might be what is on the ground. And I don't refute it. I don't say that's not what exists. But that is not why we marry. We also have a love. We also have a mind, body, and soul. But maybe let's call upon our brothers to get the sanity, to become sober again, to shake off the shackles of being gaslit, and be great men again. African men.